We have been drawing attention to all of the developments around cryptocurrency, both inside and outside of the United States throughout the whole year. Let's face it, things are moving more quickly than we ever imagined, and I sincerely hope you all understand how fantastic this is for the cryptocurrency industry as a whole. Nate Rolshi recently posted that the SEC Crypto Task Force met with a number of organizations today to discuss the confluence of crypto and AI. So I'm not the only one who is observing this. We'll keep stating that people don't realize how quickly things are happening, so read this. Furthermore, because we're primarily focused on the price charts, alt season, the largest bull run in history, this, that, and so on, I don't think people grasp how quickly things are happening in this area. However, consider the long-term prospects of cryptocurrency, as well as the events that have transpired in the last 10 or 11 months. In addition to that, we have a little but intriguing photograph here. This is the goal of the meeting with the venture capital firm Collab Plus Currency. These days, they are spending money on frontier applications, AI, and crypto infrastructure. As of right now, they think that this will serve as the foundational infrastructure for America's long-term security, innovation, and competitiveness. The merger of AI and crypto is currently the main focus of their attention. And I have been discussing it, correct? Without blockchain and cryptocurrency, we cannot achieve AI at scale. Without the crypto technology stack attached to it, AI simply will not be included in commercial and institutional stacks. Because, once more, smart contracts that potentially restrict AI's reach and eventually provide some kind of barrier around AI are what crypto unlocks. Because, once more, we simply do not want renegade AI systems that suddenly begin to learn and accomplish more than they are designed to.
Thus, to reiterate, AI and cryptocurrency are rapidly merging. Some very well-known companies are now investigating automating particular tasks. When we consider it, AI is indeed necessary. Indeed, cryptocurrency is required since they wish to automate trading. Moving on-chain is the topic of our discussion, which brings us to certain events that have occurred in the past few weeks. First place goes to Coinbase. Coinbase will evolve into a comprehensive on-chain exchange by introducing tokenized stocks and prediction markets for US users. This upgrade was significant because it demonstrated once more that tokenized equities are practically ready for everyone, both inside and outside of the cryptocurrency industry. On-chain tokenization of the stock market is what they desire. This is significant. Currently, the majority of the announcements about tokenized equities have come from businesses that are based in the cryptocurrency space. Take Ondo, for instance. Ondo introduced Wall Street 2.0, their global market, on September 3rd. This involved more than 100 tokenized stocks. There are 461 million tokens in the tokenized stock market over here. Over the past 30 days, this has increased by roughly 15%. Additionally, 103 RWAs are associated with the name Ondo, worth $82.3 million. Furthermore, XRP is indeed connected to Archix. With $55.3 million, Archix is ranked second if we come down here. And it is all connected to the XRP ledger, of course. XRP is definitely present here. However, once more, tokenized stocks are still in their infancy. Given the size of the global stock market, $461 million is minuscule. We also go back to March of this year if we're considering that. Do any of you recall this post? This is a 24-hour trading announcement from the NASDAQ. Salutations. This letter serves as notice of our strategic intention to make the NASDAQ stock market open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This choice is motivated by the changing demands of the market and international investors, as further detailed in Tal Cohen's most recent LinkedIn op-ed. Yes, the NASDAQ is interested in utilizing round-the-clock trading. This was returned to us in March. I'm bringing this up again because on the 8th, we received a significant update. NASDAQ filed with the SEC to tokenize stocks, allowing investors to trade stocks on-chain or conventionally while maintaining full shareholder rights. The video is here. In order to tokenize stocks, NASDAQ filed this application with the US SEC. This is enormous. Guys, take a look.
You want to tell people what?
You think we should?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so this morning we announced that we're going to be bringing tokenization into our markets. So making sure that equities are tokenized and traded on market, in the markets, not in a side sleeve, but actually in the core markets.
So the eventual goal, or is it today? 24/7, 365 equities, just let it rip constantly.
I mean, I think we are all moving in that direction. We announced several months ago that we're moving to 24/5, so we're kind of moving that way.
So Saturday and Sunday,
Not for equities yet. I think that we have to. We're walking before we run. But I think that getting to 24/5 is a major advancement for the U.S. equities markets. And then on top of that, now with tokenization, if we can introduce that also into the markets, it allows us to really think about streamlining the post-trade processing, bringing and modernizing elements of the markets that have a lot of friction. We are hyper resilient and we're hyper scaled. We manage, like today, we had 95 billion messages come into our systems today, and we had a median, return time of 20 microseconds from order to trade. We handle like 3 million messages a second. It's hugely scaled. But then at the same time, once that trade occurs, there's a different process. And then the post-trade process, as we know, is an area where tokenization really shines. And really cutting down the friction, managing capital flows across the global ecosystem, and really bringing that capability into the markets is going to be the next.
I'm curious to get your reaction to this. There's this very famous curve, which is like you get this early font of insanity, and then there's the trough of disillusionment, and then you grow through. And does it seem like crypto is actually in blockchain? It's finally real. It's like there's real companies doing real things, stable coins, what Sachs did with the Genius Act.
Well, I actually want to point to that because, honestly, having regulators who want to work on bringing it into the mainstream and want to create the rules of the road is such a refreshing thing, because I think that it allows us all to understand how we can operate within a world where there are tenets of investor protection. The technology is going to have things we can and can't do, but also being forward-thinking and forward-leaning and how the technology is going to be applied is going to be critical. So we're very excited about the fact that we finally have this convergence of regulation between the traditional markets, the digital markets. How do we bring it all together to, frankly, advance all markets? And we're very, very excited about that.
Additionally, these are the discussions that are now taking place. Guys, just consider how absurd this is. This is the NASDAQ discussing how tokenization and cryptocurrency might enhance each market if they are regulated. We have been discussing and dealing with this issue for what feels like an eternity, but it's occurring right now, man. It's crazy to be in cryptocurrency right now. Yes, assuming we're considering the NASDAQ. This video clip is where we go. Since it usually always appears that Ripple has some kind of link, this is from Smokedog. Here, Ripple and NASDAQ are conducting testing. Pay close attention. Now, it makes no difference how old this clip is because it is somewhat older. Ripple conducted some experiments with some of the most well-known companies. To solve atomic settlement, the Bank of England even had a proof of concept using the XRP ledger. Another one of those significant links is this one.
And, this guy sells it to that guy. That's essentially, what the stock exchange does. So if you can have a common ledger to be able to exchange those IOUs at, then that certainly makes sense. And there's examples of Korean banks partnering with local, Bitcoin companies for the settlement. People like the IMF or World Bank or these kind of people are always talking about these sort of blockchain settlement systems. NASDAQ is involved in I think, doing some trials with Ripple as well. So,
all right, well, where's the proof of this, you may ask at this point? All of those links back to Ripple can be found if you examine records from particular institutions, such as the World Bank, the IMF, etc.
Over the years, we have reviewed them. Many individuals now simply dismiss the numerous trials that have been conducted using Ripple because, once more, considering how long ago those trials were, I believe the one involving the Bank of England took place in 2017. It may have occurred before the year 2017. All right, many people think, well, that was back in, 2016, 2017. It is 2025 today, so it is completely irrelevant, isn't it? You do realize that we have already discussed the linkages to Thunes. They recently announced their cooperation with Thunes to expand domestically in Africa and a few other parts of the world. But some of those links date back 3, 4, or 5 years. At some point, there will be a lot bigger statement that, oh, guess what? That's where those links become so important to grasp and comprehend. The reason Ripple is collaborating with X, Y, and Z is due to the contacts we made in 2017, 2018, 2019, and so forth. However, in addition to that, we also have over here, which relates to 2024. Once more, this is the NASDAQ CEO stating, we would need to make several adjustments if trading were to become 24/7 or 24/5. We would also need to introduce it. And once more, when we consider this, their back-end technology is what they are attempting to implement and modify. To do this, they are searching for blockchain stacks to use. They are not using standard procedures to get 24-5. It simply isn't feasible. We now know that they have begun developing a new system. Before I show this video clip, let me tell you who is going to Ripple swell this year. That makes this even more bizarre. Yes, exactly.
Adina Friedman is the CEO and chair of NASDAQ. She will examine the financial system's future, the possibilities of blockchain and digital assets, the changing function of tokenization, and new technological developments. Check this out. You really can't make it up.
How long have you been CEO now, Adina?
7.5, well, about a little over 7 years.
A lot of the things you just talked about were not part of the company 7.5 years ago, were they?
That's true. So we've been really growing in terms
where
of...
you needed to, because nothing's happening when it gets quiet in terms of trading, and when the IPO market is, as you call it, muted. Are you happy that you did these other things at this point?
We're very happy, because not only is it great to have a diversified platform where you can grow kind of in different market conditions, but we also have much more impact with our clients. We're now going to banks and saying, we can help you solve some of your biggest challenges. They want to be able to provide capital to the markets and get deposits into their banks. But they have to manage crime out of their systems. They have to manage risk in the markets. They have to manage a lot of regulatory burden. And we're now their partner to do that. And that means we have better impact and a really interesting growth profile. Because that business, our fintech division, grew 10% this quarter.
Adina, there's been some talk about extending the trading day, even 24-hour trading days. Where do you come down on that? What do you think? So
it's interesting to see how demand is starting to come in from all over the world for particularly actually for NASDAQ-listed companies. So what we've been doing inside our business is we've been expanding the distribution of our data to the entire world. So that's been a growth driver for us to get data, real-time market data in the hands of broker-dealers and brokers, retail brokers all over the world, as well as driving indexes and index products to exchange. We list our index products all over the world. So that kind of helps satisfy some of the investor interest. But we also operate, our systems are open 16 hours a day. The markets are technically open 9:30 to 4, but we open our system for trading at 4 in the morning, and we stop at 8. Going to 24/7 is a different proposition,
That's crazy. I mean, would there be no more opening bell, no more closing bell? How do you do percentage changes? I
think there's a lot.
Some of these problems with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of operational challenge that comes from 24/7, even 24/5 trading. Just technically, we provide technology to other markets who trade that way, so we know how to do it. We know what it takes. But operationally, you have to be ready to respond in any given moment. And with companies, it's different than it is with commodities, because companies have earnings.
Right.
We have news we need to distribute.
You have stuff that you want to put out when there's not an active market.
And there's also an entire infrastructure in the mutual fund industry that really ties to that 4 o'clock closing price. So if there were a shift more towards global trade, 24/7 or 24/5 trading, we'd have a lot of change we'd have to introduce, as well as recognizing that a lot of institutional investors, they like to go home and have dinner.
Yeah.
So how do you make it so that it's not just retail? Because retail, I think it's good to give access to retail investors, but it's much better if you have a very vibrant liquidity environment. So there's a lot we'd have to consider.
A big issue, some sort of market shakedown, and nobody's around to say, okay, how do we put this
and that's it. I think that's important too. And what if you're a company CEO and at 3 o'clock in the morning something happens to your stock? So you have to think about all of those things. We've had conversations with our clients about it, but we're not kind of moving in that direction right now. I think we're still evaluating it.
However, the fact that they were planning this in 2024 indicates that the NASDAQ, this isn't a novel idea, isn't it? As in, this is nothing new. This has been in the works for a long time. Therefore, when considering this, we examine these marketplaces as well as the announcements made in relation to them. Rewinding to July, Chainlink published an excellent article outlining 5 reasons why stocks and other equities are going on-chain. And it's really easy, isn't it? You have accessibility from anywhere in the world, trading around the clock, rapid settlement, DeFi compatibility, on-chain transparency, and more liquidity, don't you? One important one is liquidity. However, this market is worth $125 trillion. The value of this global market is $125 trillion. And if we consider this, there are currently 461 million tokenized stocks. And the most well-known brand in the stock market, Robinhood, is one of the biggest stock trading apps available. I estimate that it has about 25 million users. Everyone is on board with tokenization. For the better part of the summer, Vlad Tenev has been posting on tokenization. Guys, this isn't just a guessing game anymore. It's taking place. It's crazy to watch this. Additionally, it depicts the current state of affairs, which is the early phases of a digital on-chain world in which all markets and transactions will soon be conducted via digital rails. Additionally, those digital rails will be tokenized, blockchain-based, and DLTs. This is just the start. It's taking place right now. And once more, after years of discussion, this is finally happening. Things are moving more quickly than they have in the past. The SEC is currently collaborating with some of the smaller businesses to discuss how we can ensure that this happens. Tokenization, AI, and cryptocurrency are all merging. A significant part of this is even institutional DeFi. Having said that, I hope you all found this video entertaining. Please be sure to subscribe, like,